Do what my daughter does. She's like,
That's so cute.
come sit.
I'll be your daddy.
Pause.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be the first time. Sure
Or
that.
last.
Sure that. Let me put my hat so I can look cooler than you guys. Because
I'm
I was
branded.
I was gonna bring a hat, but
I'm gonna wear it to the lights. Well, it doesn't make any difference, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna do this, but you can't see my beautiful blue eyes.
I don't have my normal
You do have
tint
pretty
either.
blue eyes.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's got those Russian blue eyes.
You want to take a hike in?
Remember, I got the wedding ring on. I got the wedding ring on.
His wife made him wear the wedding band.
Yeah, the third wheel everywhere I go. Some
She said those
bullshit.
two are dangerous. Oh, shit.
Jiu-Jitsu is gay, and we can prove it.
We're living proof of it. Misael, how you been, man?
Good. How about you guys?
Same. You're one of our jiu-jitsu guys, but recently you've been diving into the Muay Thai experiment. How's that thing going?
Honestly, pretty fun.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I actually like getting hit in the face.
Oh, you look like you're getting hit in you
man.
sound like you're getting hit in the face.
Yeah, I think it's different, right? Because yeah, I mean, so part of my martial arts journey started in high school because my friends and I ran martial arts club, which is basically Fight Club in the back of the high school.
That's
So
cool.
that's when I started sparring. So like,
Were you just playing?
In high school?
yeah, in high school.
Like playing as in, did y'all do anything formally, or was it just like?
I mean, we had one guy who did like some form of karate who was like trying to teach us to be controlled, but we kind of just like threw punches at each other. I did wrestling and a little bit of jiu-jitsu, so I like
In
would
high
do that.
school?
In high school.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
But anyway, and then in college I did a semester in Muay Thai and I did like 6 months of boxing, so it's kind of coming back to striking because I never felt comfortable or like I was good at it. And honestly, I just want to be able to like know how to take a punch and be under pressure. But now it's just fun. So
We could have worked on that without you getting tired. Just taking punches. You don't have to take a whole class and not be able to breathe after that.
I'll hit you for free.
Yeah.
but no, it's been fun. It's a good time. It's different movement, different cardio, a lot of things that are similar with jits, but like different speed level, different consequences too, man. If you're not paying attention, you'll eat a punch to the face.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, you might get your guard passed. But
Let me ask you a question, an honest opinion, since we're talking about Muay Thai. What do you think of Sasha? Why are you laughing? Sasha, I know.
Sasha's great.
I'll tag you on the frame. Sasha, when to start watching the timestamp.
Me and Sasha always send each other memes on Instagram about jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, so I think
She's barely getting into jiu-jitsu. She's the worst 4-stripe white belt I've ever met. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you know what's funny?
I told her that. I'm like,
She's very Canadian when she spars because she'll pretend like she's not going to hit you, and then she'll smash the shit out of you.
She unleashes.
And it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
She throws these combos. She throws these combos.
She was waiting. She was waiting the whole time.
Always ending with a kick.
Do that.
Always ending with that right kick.
Yeah.
So Canadian. That's funny. Do you have a new prime minister?
They do.
Did y'all do Muay Thai?
Huh?
Did you guys do Muay Thai?
No.
I've taken
I've
a
taken
handful of
classes,
classes,
yeah,
but I just don't really have the time right now. I would love to. I've always wanted to get consistent with that,
I
but
mean, you're only 50.
I got time.
Yeah, you got
50?
time.
I got time. I will be. I'm 49 and change.
I'm 49 minus change.
You guys are about the same age.
We're on the both sides of 49.
Half century man almost.
That's wild.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, how old
It's
are you now?
crazy.
30 something?
32.
32, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're a baby.
Dude, this
When I
is-
moved to California, that was my 30th year.
That's
Dang.
a good age, man.
So I've been here like
32.
20 years. That's a
30
great year.
32 is like the prime of athleticism.
All downhill
Yeah.
from here.
Yeah.
No, but it is the prime of athleticism, like in terms of understanding of whatever it is you're doing, right? Like sports and all that stuff. I mean, you could say it depends on when you start, because if you're a wrestler and you're 32, you're probably not in your prime because you start so
Yeah.
young.
You're not gonna
Because you start so
you
young.
wrestled, but you're not a
right, right.
It's too hard on your
But
body.
if you think about sports in general, in terms of understanding of the sport itself, like I mean, even if you're a football player, it's just that there's the mileage fucks you up. Otherwise, age-wise, if you preserve yourself, it's like
your body's at its strongest.
Correct.
Around this time.
Yes, it is. It is.
You heal faster.
Yeah. And you train smarter. You compete smarter. Everything you do is smarter because you're not that crazy young man anymore.
You know how to operate the machine.
Right. That's why they say it's the peak time for like.
I mean, MMA.
Around 30, let's say 30, not 30. Yeah.
And then after like 35, it's.
But that's the thing.
Starts
that's the
to
thing.
decline.
It's a kind of like Well, that's the peak. That's why you say a peak. Because after that. Speaking of shapes and stuff, you're an MIT graduate. The first. I was going to say something disrespectful to the rest of our guests.
Go ahead, I won't tell them.
I have never met. No
one will watch this far either.
I've met other people from MIT.
I should
Lex Friedman.
I should preface it and say that I did the most liberal arts major at MIT. So
what did you do?
That's dope.
City planning.
Oh, dude.
That's cool.
It was very quantitative, but
what is that all about?
He said that's cool. What is that all about?
Dude, it interests me. Like, what are you planning?
At MIT, city planning's pretty broad. So like,
careful with the mic.
Oh, my bad.
Careful with
are you coming up with where the street lights go or the stop signs?
Well, that's part of it. Just like the physical planning, and some people go into transportation, which is very like built environment, infrastructure kind of stuff. I had some classmates who like went into design and like architecture firms, thinking about like how do you make a city fabric that feels livable and human and walkable.
City what?
Like fabric. So like here, Venice Boulevard, this part right here is really walkable and nice. It's a nice like neighborhood. But then like, I had people and classmates who were really focused on data and when I worked at Facebook and Meta and did like, they had like a data for public good kind of stuff. I'm in research.
Still in the city planning, however. You mean classmates as in?
Yeah, still all in the same city planning program. So it's like public policy. Most of the stuff is oriented towards like thinking some vision of the public good and trying to put it in practice through policy or design or something like that.
Do you enjoy what you do, or are you good at it?
I'd say both, but I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, that like you feel like you're fighting for good or social change in the world, and then that can be undone very quickly.
And then the elections happen.
and then you start to wonder, like, am I doing anything at all?
Right.
But I also maybe feel like that's just like a human thing, because you could be thinking that regardless of whatever field you're in. But like the stuff I do now, I work at UCLA now. I work at a research center that's focused on Latinos, and our research goes directly to state legislators. We have federal legislators we're connected with. We have other states that we work with. So like I did some research on labor unions that made its way to the actual like Secretary of Labor's desk, and he got to see that.
That's cool.
It was about how labor unions were effective in protecting Latino workers. So like that feels really cool to see that, my work can get into a policy space.
Sure.
But like the implementation is another story. And I think anybody who's in like my place would tell you the same thing of like, that's good, but let's see some movement.
Implementation as in like, is that when it gets into the political aspect?
Yeah, and like
when the decisions
policy,
are to be
where
made.
decisions are to be made.
Do they get made according to research?
Yeah, and according to facts and data,
yeah.
or like a vision of the public good.
Is it kind of like once you do that and you get it to whoever's desk, do you have to be like, it's none of my business anymore?
No, well,
or do you continue to follow it and then we've experienced the highs and lows? Oh, we forgot about it.
We definitely follow it, but at least on my organization now, we're technically a nonprofit, so we're not allowed to lobby or like specifically advocate for bills, but like we can give expert witness kind of testimony and say like, this is what the facts say. So like we follow things and we'll work with other people, but like we don't necessarily like lobby for a bill, if that makes sense. So yeah, but like I think I've also realized like a lot of what we do is changing narratives on different things. So great example, right? My boss, she's into environmental research. We had the two big fires recently, Palisades, and then the one in Eaton Fire, which is like Altadena. A lot of the news coverage about Palisades was about like these, celebrities,
right.
Rich white people, excuse me, were like whose houses were burning.
Have you ever heard our podcasts? Rich white people, that's what we're after. And I mean, for sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly. This post brought to you by Red Bull.
Oh, we've tried it. Don't
Red
worry
Bull.
about
We
it.
tried
Don't
it.
worry about
We tried
it. Red Bull, Modelo, fucking Evian water. Nothing works.
Nothing
But
works.
like,
Not yet.
but like the
French.
news stories about Palisades were about like these wealthy communities where homes were burning. My boss did some research on like who held jobs in those places. And she found that something like a third of the workers who were there in the Palisades were Latino. And that's important because a lot of those workers are like outdoor workers, maintenance workers,
They all lost their
household cleaners,
jobs.
domestics. You can't go to your job if the house is burned and the air quality is bad. Like, what are you going to landscape? The burned trees?
Right.
So, like, that helped change the narrative about the impact of the fire on LA's
Sure.
communities of like, well, what about these, like, working class people whose jobs were impacted, right? So that starts to shape a different narrative. So I found that's really important, but, like, you know, now sometimes it's, like, hard to know its impact is, like, people just live in separate worlds, man. People will believe one
Yeah.
set of facts and another. So
100%.
you know, that's what makes it sometimes hard. But
I don't even think it's about believing in. I mean, yes, it is depending on who you're talking to, but it's about information about it because I never thought about it until you mentioned it now.
I never thought about it either. that
I thought
aspect.
you were going in the direction that there was so much attention on Palisades and not enough on Eden Fire. And Eden Fire was actually a bigger area, if I'm not mistaken. Just because it's more open, I think, than the Palisades. But it's also that area over there is predominantly Latino, isn't it? Or
Black,
is
Eden's
it?
black. It's
Yeah.
historic, kind of like professional, a little bit older black community.
And
Young black folks haven't been able to break in because the houses are so damn expensive. But like
Dude.
people who bought in there bought in like the '80s when that was the only place they could buy.
Yeah.
Oh, but now it's expensive.
Now it's expensive. It wasn't
Now
like that
everything's
before.
expensive, dude.
Is it like Baldwin Hills kind of thing? You know, like black
Little bit like
populated, but like
I think expensive, like
Money-
But
everything is.
professional, like
Professional,
people
yeah,
with
like
like
money,
college
yeah.
degrees, people
Yeah,
who
yeah, yeah.
you know work
you know
good
Baldwin
jobs.
Hills up there.
Yeah.
that's crazy nice houses there. The views are
Dude,
crazy
I love,
from there.
I love Baldwin.
That
You're
was
not
like the-
you're not gonna see the sea, but you got views of downtown LA.
That was like the black people's
Century,
Hollywood
Ladera
Hills.
Heights,
they call it the Black Beverly Hills now.
Yeah.
I think
Frank Ocean.
Oh no, that's
you like Frank
Hollywood
Ocean?
Hills.
That's
Black
Hollywood
Beverly
Hills.
Hills.
the young kids. I'm
Living
not
in
into the young kids'
Ladera
music, but he's
Heights.
talented. Is that the song?
Yeah, that's the song.
That's
What's it
cool.
Sweet Life?
What's that?
Sweet Life by Frank Ocean. Black Beverly Hills.
It's cool to have young friends. They keep you young.
Dude, I feel old these days,
they
man.
keep you young.
What's the name of the girl? She's a singer. She does MMA. She comes to the gym. She's got tattoos.
A singer?
Shakira.
No, she comes to our gym, dude.
She comes to this gym.
Not Shakira. I don't know what you.
I think she's got a nose piercing.
Hips
I don't
don't lie.
know.
Hips don't
Anyway,
I'm sorry. No, she doesn't.
anyway, she was telling me. She was talking to me the
I
other
would've
day.
known.
How big of a singer is she?
I don't know how big of a singer she is. She's a great singer.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you're a great singer. And I'm sorry I forgot your name. But she told me she was 22 and was like,
Yeah,
Wait. Who sings
The
that? I'm trying-
Brazilian girl. She's young too.
She's got tattoos.
American,
Nose ring. She does MMA. Yeah, she's a white girl, I think.
but American. I mean.
American. I think she said she was from like Indiana.
Oh, that's Brie.
Bree.
Yeah.
Bree.
Lizzo knows everybody.
She's like 22.
Brie, yeah. She's talented. She does music. She produces music,
She's super
singing,
super
and all that
talented.
stuff. Yeah, and she just had an MMA fight.
Really?
Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It was MMA.
It was. I think one of those where you're wearing protective gear. Was it?
Yeah.
I think so,
Amateur?
yeah, amateur. Yeah.
That's cool.
But she started. Okay, I stopped teaching. I stopped teaching the morning MMA class about a year ago. Yeah, it was about a year ago. That's when Horace took over, and she started coming a little before that. Maybe let's say January of 2024. And now she's so good at striking.
That she's
like-
fighting.
Yeah, she fought. Yeah,
That's
she's
cool.
good. She's tenacious when she strikes. She's
I brought her up because you're young, and then she was like, I'm 22, and I was like, oh my god,
yeah, girl, you're old.
That's
I'm
a whole
32.
If you're
nother-
listening, if you're
She's
watching,
young.
you're old.
You're young. No, you're young. She's
Time to
young.
retire from the business.
Yeah, dude. It's a
25 if
trip.
you ask Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio has his. Yeah.
He's got his limits.
Yep. Yeah. He's. I admire that about him. You know.
It's not as bad as Bill Belichick. And you know, honestly, if you're an adult, even the Bill Belichick that's like kind of like is weird looking, dude. I'm not a hater with something like
I mean,
that.
if you were Bill Belichick,
Dude, right? Exactly.
I'm just saying, if you were 70 years old,
70.
yeah, whatever he is.
But dude, I wonder what their conversations are like.
I mean,
I'm not trying to have a
Bill
conversation
Belichick-
with a 20.
dude, that would be weird.
It's like, what are they talking about?
What would he
What
be
is a
talking?
22-year-old?
What would he be talking? What would he
He
be
was born
talking
in the
about
50s,
to
right?
anyone? Football, probably. It's Bill Belichick.
He's a big cheater too.
Well, that's what you say as a hater.
He's a football cheater. I'm not talking about.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what you say.
That's not hating. That's
It's a
just
hater.
real.
Come on.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I guess.
That's how they want. And I'm not a New England fan or anything, but that's people that start talking about that. That's just hating on That's like people hating on LeBron James for no good reason.
No, you know what
It's
it's
the
like?
same- the same
It's just
thing.
like my little bit of hate about Gordon Ryan when I talk about.
Gordon
let's hear it.
Ryan
Let's
is a
hear it.
knucklehead.
Let's hear it.
If you're the best in the world
Let's
and
hear
you
it.
tell people that, but you also do steroids,
Nah, that's a different story. We have problems with Gordon Ryan for different reasons, not for that. Not
I don't
because
have
of
a.
that.
No,
I mean, I just hate
he's
his
got his-
knuckleheadness
there's
when
a
he starts
character
when he
challenges
opens
that I
when he
think-
opens his mouth.
I'm just saying I attribute the steroid thing, even though it's legal because they're too broke to test for it.
Yeah, we have conversation about
It's just
that
like Bill
on every
Belichick.
episode, but
They're like, we're the best. We're the
No,
best.
no,
We
no.
got these many Super Bowls, dude. Then why are you cheating?
they didn't get all these Super Bowls because of. Otherwise, Bill Belichick would have had 2 more since Tom Brady left.
All I'm saying
Come on.
is that's
No.
why talking shit about him cheating is not blatantly hating. They cheated, and it made him look bad, and it kind of put a dent in their thing.
Dude,
Are they not good? Yeah, they're good.
You're only a cheater if you get caught. Don't forget that. How many other teams have gotten caught? They just haven't won. How many other teams, like the Astros, got caught against the Dodgers a few years ago?
They never stripped them of that title either, by the way.
On top of it, yes, but they didn't strip New England either. But I'm saying,
You know how do you do that?
well, you can't strip. I'm against
Right.
stripping of
How are you gonna
titles
take
because
a title away from
because that's what happened
can't
with
do
Mika
that.
Galvao and Tyro Tolo. Remember
Oh,
for the
yeah.
IBJJF, Mika Galvao became the youngest black belt to ever win against Tyro Tolo in the IBJJF Worlds
The gi?
a couple of years ago in the gi.
Okay.
He beat Tyro Tolo. He became the champion.
Oh, I remember. Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
And then they stripped
The whole
him.
team.
They
Well, the
stripped-
whole team.
Yes. What's his name? The old guys too.
Cyborg.
Yeah.
As well as
Wagner.
what's his name?
Not Wagner Rocha.
Wagner Rocha.
Yeah.
And
But
they were trying to escape. They were trying to escape. Like we gotta get, we gotta get tests from y'all. They're like, oh, we gotta get on a flight to Brazil.
John
right
Jones
now.
hiding under the
They were
cage.
trying to get out, dude. They caught him. They're like,
John Jones, if you're listening, don't kill me.
John
They
Jones,
got
if
him.
you're listening, fucking
now for something like that,
fight.
Please fight Tom Aspinall.
I think
But that's crazy because
it's justified.
you ever
to take
cheat
the
when you
title.
no,
Jiu-Jitsu?
Listen,
Make it personal. You ever cheat when you do jiu-jitsu? I've stuck my finger in someone's ear before to get out of a
I've
submission.
grabbed
Oh.
someone's like
well, that
Doing
I've,
no gi.
I've done that
I was
involuntarily, but then I
struggling.
let go. Yeah.
Something was going on, and I was just like, "Argh!" And the dude actually was like, "Can you please let go of my rash guard?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, it's a habit." Even though I knew I did it, it was just I was frustrated. But as soon as he brought it out, I was just like, "Sorry," because he was right.
Now I got
Now
nothing.
I'll say this though. I'll say this. There have been times throughout the years, multiple times, that people have grabbed my shit in a no-gi situation, and in my head I'm going, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Obviously I've got you in something, or you're just taking advantage of it, but I won't say anything because I'm like, you know what? It's the job of jiu-jitsu to overcome that shit, and I'm not thinking bad about them, but I know it's not right.
No,
and whether
but-
they might be ignorant, not talking shit, but they might, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And with the people, there were a couple people that I was cool with, and I'm like, I know for a fact he's not being an asshole.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
So,
I've had people do it to me. Today somebody was rolling and was grabbing the shorts of the other guy, and I told him let go.
Yeah.
But I mean, it happens all the time. You know, it's just sometimes you don't think about it and you do it, right? Because it's like an instinct.
I
But-
still took it for the time that I did it. I'm not going to say I was cheating, but it was not right what I did.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad that he said something for me to be able to be like, oh, I'm sorry to him. So there won't be, he doesn't remember this happening. I remember it happening. You know what I'm saying? I bet you he wouldn't remember that ever happening.
It's probably better communication than I've ever heard in most jiu-jitsu roles.
Yeah, I know.
You guys ever read the Reddit post? The Reddit posts are like, "What do I do if this person asks me to roll and I don't want to go with them?" Like, tell them no.
Like, how
Tell them
difficult
no.
is that?
Tell them no.
Well, how what's the word? Introvert you have to be to ask that kind of question on a public forum. What do I tell them? Just tell them. You know,
I
don't
kind
wanna
of
roll
get
with
it,
them.
especially if
No,
they're newish.
Fuck that shit, man. You
If
don't
they're
wanna-
newish,
Yeah, but
and they don't know, and if they're like at
Exactly.
a new spot, they've been there for like a month.
Yeah,
I get it.
And if you're a girl, for example, and you're small,
It's probably a girl.
Yeah, and then, but I mean, you're right. I mean, what are you doing asking that kind of question? Like, it's an obvious answer. You know, you just don't roll with them.
Well,
That's
and
it.
also, this is something that's been coming up in my life.
You say I need
I'll
a
have
break.
I'll have a certain opinion about something, just like with your opinion. But what I immediately think is, dude, I'm 50 years old. I've been through a lot of life, and I know what works and not. A 20-year-old
Does not.
might not. Will be like awkward with that. Be like, oh, this dude is asking me to roll, and I don't want to. I'm for whatever
No,
reason.
that's true.
See,
Maybe-
I'm 50.
yeah.
I'll be like, oh man, I'm gonna roll with this guy, or I'd rather not. I'm good,
Yeah.
thank you, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna or whatever, and I would feel super comfortable saying
Yeah,
that
yeah, you're right,
anywhere.
you're
I'm
right.
50 years
Maybe
old,
I'm
but a
judging
kid.
for no good reason, but you know, to me, it's like a no-brainer question. But you're right. It's
And for whatever reason, that person is not comfortable. I've been with, y'all. I've been here with Gustavo and Pete
Yeah,
for
that's
a
true, that's
long
true.
time,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people at the school that I don't know. I'm not gonna feel uncomfortable in a situation because I'm cool with Pete, and I know I've been a good student. I'm not a trouble or anything, so I just feel super comfortable here. And I know sometimes people you can tell if someone's uncomfortable sometimes.
yeah, that's true.
Like I'll be like, oh, that person's never been here before. And you can just kind of see them like not knowing,
You know, speaking of this or that being uncomfortable with another, there's this this thing that I never knew before, but we actually somebody just brought it recently, like as recent as last Friday, to my attention. But I actually heard of it before. A guy comes into jiu-jitsu class, and he's like darker complexions, like Middle Eastern or something. It turned out that he was Middle Eastern anyway, and he refused to roll with one of the girls. The girl just.
that makes sense.
It turns out that it's their religion.
Religious
Yeah,
reasons,
it's
yeah,
for
yeah.
100%.
I had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And it just happened. Someone in Muay Thai, I think Bree was telling me actually. Speaking of Bree, she was saying that she wanted to spar with. What was it? Her? Somebody told me. I can't remember who was telling me, but it was a girl telling me wanted to spar with a guy, and the guy said, and it could have well been the same guy. I don't know. Said that no, I can't do it, but he didn't explain why. And she was like,
See, that's
she's like, what a jerk! Like avoiding her. She asked him again after. He's like, no, I can't. And then
He should explain.
Then she found out through a third person that that's why. So then kind of the story got mediated because she got really pissed because it's like she got insulted, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out that it was.
She should probably relax a little bit.
Well,
but I
I mean,
understand.
it's,
If I go up to somebody, I'm like, "Hey, you want to roll?" and they're like,
No, I see. Yeah, it's the same.
I could be like, "Well, fuck him," but you know what? Okay, whatever. So,
Yeah.
sorry, whatever. I'm still gonna feel. I'm gonna be like, "Oh, that person." I'm gonna tell you later. I'm gonna be like, "Damn, this motherfucker."
You know,
That's kind of weird.
This happened to me in the Coop. I was one of the first times I went. More recent times, I see a guy and he's stretching, and I'm getting on the mat too, and I'm stretching too, but he was still stretching, and I'm like, I realized he just started, right? He's just getting in, and I said, hey, it was an open mat stretch. I'm like, do you wanna roll? And he's like, no, I'm still. And then he started rolling like a minute later, like on the next round, which was like whatever, 2 minutes later. And I was like, man, that guy. And then I'm thinking, well, he doesn't know me, I don't know almost anybody here, so to me it's like it doesn't really matter who I'm looking for someone my size to get started with, and he's looking at someone that he doesn't know, as opposed to everyone else that he knows, and it's like, of course, yeah. And I never asked him again to roll until he approached me after that. Like a few, and we've been rolling ever since. Like every
cool.
time.
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's fine. Yeah, but I'm saying that it's. I felt like a little like, oh shit. But then I'm like, right away I thought, oh well, it's easily explicable,
Yeah.
But speaking of Gordon Ryan and his dumbassedness, did you see?
We always make it back to some certain subjects.
Yes. Did you? I just read something right now, right before I got here. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram. He's got a good following.
Talking about the wrestler?
Huh?
Are you talking about the post with the wrestler?
Yeah.
Brandon Reed. Brandon Reed.
All right,
I read that.
So the guy is a triple champion in college wrestling.
I think it's NAIA.
2 or 3.
NAIA.
Is it Division 2 or 3?
It's neither, I don't think. It's its own thing.
I'm pretty sure MIT
it's
is NAIA, speaking of MIT.
Yeah. And he's a triple champion there. And, well, so what happened was on a podcast that he was on, he said that they were talking about Gordon Ryan, and he actually complimented him on being the best grappler, the best ever, and all that stuff. He said, I did not listen to the podcast, so I don't know exactly how the conversation went. But in any case, he said that he's not familiar with the word
scrimmage versus scramble.
He said scrimmage is scramble basically in wrestling.
Right.
And Gordon Ryan took exception to that, and if I can call
Okay, wait a second. Just correct me if I'm wrong. From the post that I read, it seemed to me that Gordon mixed up the words.
Yeah.
And Brandon said, you don't know the difference between scrimmage and scramble, and that's dumb, or that's weird. That's the only thing that from what I got, that's the only thing that he said that was adverse to Gordon. Yeah. But Gordon
doesn't know how to.
Because they're totally different things.
Gordon doesn't know how to. I think he feels entitled to
write.
To write,
regardless.
Yes,
he's like a Trump. I'm not going to be corrected.
Yes, and I think that he feels that
1 + 1 is 3, motherfucker.
Yeah,
that too shit is fake
that
news.
whatever he thinks is right is actually the universal truth, and there's no other way around it. So might as well say
scrimmage has nothing even closely remotely to do with a scramble.
And
they're totally different things.
Correct. So the
so
thing
why
is
can't
that
Gordon be like
Gordon got mad about it, and he started writing, and he started going at him that he's like he's not even good at wrestling.
He's not even an NCAA.
That it wasn't even a
Did you
D1
see Gordon's
wrestler.
post? Because I didn't. I just read.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I meant to see it, but I didn't.
I'm sure,
I was wondering if any of you did.
I'm sure it was like Brandon Reed said, because I've seen
Gordon
going
off on people. Yeah,
and he does the same thing.
Yeah, look at how the B team handled J Rod's thing. I love my segues today. There,
I know. It's quick as a bit. It was like breakneck, like ow.
I mean, I was gonna ask though, why is it that jiu-jitsu always attracts like really fragile egos who think they're tough?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Because it happens a lot with jiu-jitsu where like it's ironic because like jiu-jitsu was created as a sport for like the weak to like deal with the strong
and
be
don't
like.
think that these people survive in a wrestling room.
That's true, but like, why do we attract these?
You've been in a wrestling. You've both been in a wrestling room, and you see the way they train.
With wrestlers.
The way they train,
tough.
You see the way they train. You see the way they behave. They have fun and all that, but at the same time, they're not like. We're capable of sitting around between
fun.
2 rounds and doing nothing and just talking shit, and then go and do another round at half speed, And we're like, jiu-jitsu people are just as a whole. Not as mentally tough as a whole. Not as mentally
100%.
tough as wrestlers are, and I think that this has something to do with the fact that, it's a sport. Jiu-jitsu is a sport where, I don't know, and I want to say that this part of that is because a lot of us have started at an older age. Whereas
some of us weren't athletic as children.
Yes, correct, but a lot of us have started at an older age. Which
Elio
means
wasn't.
Yeah. Which means that if you're, Helio was quite an entitled person himself in that regard. He was he did it from different. I think he did it with.
He was the runt of the family. He wasn't the man until until after he took over.
He did it. He did correct. He did it from a different with a different purpose in mind. You know, he wanted to make the name of it. You know, make it for what it is today. Hopefully, that's what he had in mind, and not just brawling and fucking, you know. But
like, it's hard to find a jiu-jitsu gym where, like, you walk in, you're comfortable, it's a nice vibe, no one's gonna be an ego meathead, than it is one where everybody's like, bow when you come on the mat,
yeah.
you know, bow to the pictures of Helio on the wall. Like,
I think that the whole thing about the belt system, this whole thing brings out the worst in people, if there is to be brought out. I'm not saying that it's with everyone. That's not. If you're listening that, and you're never been in a jiu-jitsu gym, that's not how it is in general. But I'm saying you will find those people that feel entitled solely because of the color of their belt. That's why if you go to a no-gi class, unless the guy has like cauliflower ears that are bigger than yours and mine together, they will be like, you won't know who is who, you know, in a no-gi class for the most part. I'm scared, in a no-gi class, I'm scared of the guy that walks in with a t-shirt and sweats.
Right.
That's the guy I'm scared of in a no-gi class. I'm not scared of the guy with the cauliflower ears that much, you know. So, yeah, you're about to stay stuck on the bottom with that kind of guy. But I just think that the belts contribute a lot to that that kind of, because think about it, it's like if you go to work somewhere in a corporation and you're a part of a team and you have a supervisor, and that supervisor reports to someone else, and that someone else reports to someone else, which is how it is, right, in a corporate structure. In a jiu-jitsu gym, nobody reports to nobody in that regard, but there is a hierarchy of the belts, which, I mean, the fact that is in some gyms you still cannot walk up to a higher belt and ask him to roll with them is like the stupidest fucking thing to me ever. And I don't care what you tell me about injuries, because the higher belt can always say, no, you know what, I'm good, you know, I'll sit this one out.
I think that was way more prevalent in the beginning.
Oh, dude,
like in the 90s.
Dude, yeah.
Just like the whole Krianchi thing. It's not like that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anymore. Obviously not. But it's not
the same.
That serious. And you've probably been to more gyms around here than me. It just doesn't feel that. In the 90s, dude, you don't go to someone else's gym, bro.
In the first place.
And it wasn't like there were signs. There wasn't a book. Dude, it was just, it's like I don't smack you in the face right now. You don't do that.
Well,
like,
even
you don't do what J-Rod did. You know,
even today.
Everyone knows it.
Even today, there's a gym which is quite competitive in terms of, I'll say it, Jiu-Jitsu Originals. They are here in the area.
You said they're quite competitive.
They're competitive in the gym itself. I don't know how they do in competitions. Not what I meant. I meant when you go and you roll there. And I've never rolled there, but I know people that do. They on their website it says no walk-ins. No drop-ins. I'm sorry, no drop-ins, which is
scramble,
like a
scrimmage.
They don't. They don't want to. I mean, if they don't want to.
No black people. I don't know.
No wrestlers.
No Jews.
No wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's not like that. We're just.
White's
we're joking.
White's drinking fountain all day. When you go to the gym, it's like White's drinking fountain. And
I don't know. I've never publicly
and then there is the
acknowledged
rest. The rest, because it doesn't really matter.
When I was in 3rd grade and I was learning about like segregation, I had a really dark Mexican friend, and I'm a pretty light-skinned Mexican.
Real quick. I remember your first day training here at the other one.
Yeah, the other one.
And when you told me your name, for the longest time, I don't even know if you noticed this. Whenever I saw you, I'd be like, Misael, my friend.
Yes,
that's how I would address you. Misael, my friend. I always thought you were Jewish. Because I don't know why.
Listen, that money operation you were talking about, that's my operation.
Is that why? Is
and
that
just
why you
recently,
were marketing with this little thing?
No. Just recently, I heard you talking. You said something about
Mexican.
Yeah, and I was just like,
oh, I remember. I was there. You're Mexican.
Yeah, it was cool. Anyway.
So anyway, I remember I never publicly acknowledged this, but in 3rd grade we were learning about segregation. I was really good friends with this very dark-skinned Mexican kid named Jesus, which name a more Mexican name.
Right.
And I remember that my teacher was telling me like, oh, they separated the whites from the blacks, and you couldn't hang out together. And I was like, you mean I couldn't hang out with my friend Jesus?
Oh my god!
And my 3rd grade teacher looked at me like, what did you just say?
If that was me, I would have been like, That's so cute.
You guys would have all been
Teacher is like,
together.
and that is segregation right there.
That is so cute.
Tells you it's all made up, man.
That tells you the kids have such pure hearts and all that racism bullshit is a pushed fucking narrative.
Yeah.
It is because people don't realize the difference. I mean, not at a very young age. I remember when my son was, I don't even remember until what grade. He didn't really. When we would talk about kids in his class, we would talk about them by names, and he would tell me the name, and I'm like, "Which one is that?" And he's like, "Well," and he doesn't know how to describe. It doesn't occur to him to say the black girl.
Yeah.
You know. Now it's a different story.
Yeah.
You know. Now it's like he sees color.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? He sees the difference between people in terms of appearance, but back then he was like that's what struck me. I was telling my wife, it's like, that's incredible that this is actually happening, because to me it's a no-brainer. You just say, well, the one over there, you know, like, you know, the black one or the whatever, and he's like, well, you know, the one with the dreadlocks, whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the dreadlocks.
That's so
were called.
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy shit, it's so innocent, you know.
So innocent.
Yeah, and you say it's made up, but at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe it's made up later on, as to when people start noticing the difference, and they start
that's a great
asking.
point.
They start asking, why is this person different from me?
Right.
And then you're saying, well, because, you know, well, he's from Africa.
We don't even know.
Well,
really.
what is it doing here? Oh my God!
What is it doing here?
And you're like, how do I explain slavery to you now?
Shit.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So we're talking about that gym that you were saying. No whites.
No whites. No. I was thinking after that it would have been funnier if they had Brazilians fountain only.
Are they just like a geek spot?
Yeah, they get spot, and it's like,
See, that's so traditional.
That's the
They probably have pictures of people on the wall.
Cron Gracie guys. Oh, probably. They don't have room on the wall probably for.
And I would tell you, like, I understand that's so different than especially like how we're run here.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I definitely prefer being a little bit more calm. But honestly, man, because I've kind of experienced that a little bit, I wouldn't mind, like, if that was my spot, I wouldn't mind that. If for some reason Gustavo had like a experience and was like, okay, we're switching it up now.
Ayahuasca.
We're fucking switching it up, and when you leave the mat, you get my permission. You shouldn't be leaving the mat.
No. We're doing intervention with Gustavo. We're gonna be like,
He's
Gustavo,
too chill.
no.
Be like, you gotta come on time first before we.
I may not be able to beat him on my
He
own.
barely tells people when
I
they
may
show
not
up,
be
like,
able to-
smelly,
I know,
stinky.
yeah.
He's like,
He brought
he's
that
like,
last week
hey,
here.
guys,
He comes to me and he's like,
personal
brought that-
hygiene.
It's like-
And
It's a good thing.
Look, when he did that, I've known him for so long, and you hardly ever see him.
Dude, whoever did that,
When-
you fucked up.
When he has to say something to be serious,
Yeah.
you hardly ever do it. So when he was like, "Look, guys," I was just like, I felt like a little boy. I was like, "Oh shit!" And I was like,
what was that about?
I was like, he was like,
somebody basically didn't come with like a clean.
Oh,
like,
shit.
yeah.
Was it a gi or a?
I think it was Nogi.
It was
that day.
Nogi.
Nogi.
It was
Oh my
last
God.
Tuesday.
But if someone was that bad in Nogi, they're really bad.
Oh,
He was like,
Tuesday
if you
night?
take more than one class, just
Change your
refreshing
rash
yourself. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And it was just like
And
over the
Tuesday
years-
is the end of the night, so it's like,
Dude, there have been people there for like 2
for
or 3
like
classes.
3 hours, yeah.
I got it, but let me tell you, I was
if
like,
I'm
going,
doing that,
I
I'm
took
bringing,
a shower before class, so fuck all y'all. He ain't talking about me.
I'm bringing. I shower before every class, and I'm
Yeah.
bringing.
I do my best.
If I stay after, like, let's say I stay for the morning class, and then I stay, like, have a private or something, I
Yeah.
change my gi, you know, because you're sweaty and all that shit. And
I got called out at Gracie Academy one time. I went there for a short time, and I took a class. It was gi.
at Hannah Gracie's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was before they moved.
Yeah, in Torrance. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the second class started, and I fucking just started, jumped right in. Motherfuckers were on it quick. Dude came up to me, he was like, "Hey, bro, you can't, you have to have another." And I was like, "I don't have another gi." And they're like, "You can either buy one or come back later." And I I was like, I know what that means. I was like, thanks. You know, it didn't make me feel weird. You know, I was just like, you know, my bad. I appreciate
Dude, we've had someone walk into the gym. It was in the old location, which was considerably smaller.
Yeah.
Walk into the gym on a fucking, like, when the door is closed because it's winter or something. Walk into the gym and the smell just suddenly changed in the whole place.
Like take the whole place hostage.
And you know exactly who it is because
Yeah.
of the fact that, you know, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you remember the changing room was right next to the mat.
Yeah.
So the fucking smell just stayed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
It was like
that's
that
happened.
at Verdooms. I remember there was just like a dude, a normal dude, and it's just his gi was always just rough, and I was like, dang, how do you not?
How do you not notice that shit?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always throw everything in the washer right away.
Little bit of vinegar goes a long way.
The what?
When you wash it, put some vinegar in your.
Well, I don't wash the geese on their own. Sometimes I do if it's like 2 or 3. Like when Albert was going to the gym and I would go, you know, we would do it like when he was going to the gym in the gi. I would wash just the geese because it fills up the washer
Yeah.
anyway. But yeah, otherwise I don't wash them on their own. So it's kind of, I don't know if I put vinegar on some other clothes if it would be affecting it. But anyway.
Dude, my first gym was Clever Jiu-Jitsu, actually.
Oh, is that
It was like
right?
a super traditional Jiu-Jitsu gym.
He's old
Clever.
school.
Luciano.
You know that this is the guy.
Where is that?
Huntington Beach. I grew
Okay,
up in
because
that city.
I've been to his gym one time before
I was
I
like
even
14.
lived here.
I
I
was
was,
like
on a
14.
trip out here to visit somebody,
That's
and we went to his gym.
Pete's first instructor.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's right. A lot of OGs started out there, actually.
Before Gustavo, way before Gustavo, in his first gym. Also, the guy that came last week from Austin,
Oh, yeah.
Misael, he started with, I don't know if he started with Clever, but he trained with Clever when he was here.
Yeah. Actually, so my first year of jiu-jitsu, I was 14. I started because it was UFC. I watched UFC reruns on TV, which oddly Lyoto Machida got me into jiu-jitsu.
Really?
I think it was that there was some fight where he like tossed somebody into a triangle. I think it might have been Tito Ortiz, if I'm remembering that correctly. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta learn to do that.
Yeah.
But
Of course, you got attracted to the triangle.
actually, that was my
That was
first
before you
triangle.
were married, of course.
At 14?
Yeah.
My first submission love was a triangle choke for sure.
Is that right?
For sure.
That's
I don't
cool.
remember
Still
my
love it.
first
I
submission.
think my first was Ezekiel. And I learned it in class that day, and then I rolled against a dude. And I remember that dude had been there. He was there on the first day that I showed up. And I got it on him. And I was just like, oh, this shit worked. Shit, I just learned something and did it real. I did it live. It was so exciting.
Man, I don't remember what my first submission would have been.
Dude, I remember significant tap outs to me over the years.
Dude,
I want to say
I'm like, oh, I remember like this.
some kind
I
of-
remember my boy such and such. I
Dude,
did this one
okay.
thing. I was like,
I don't,
stoked for a
I don't know if
month.
you've ever heard this theory about submissions, but it's like what level is your submission? So like the
Yeah.
highest, belts are somewhat made up, but like the highest belt that you've submitted with, I think the only thing I've ever submitted a black belt with has been a guillotine. And I've submitted a few. So I was like, the first time it happened, I was like, oh God, I'm going to cry. So
Black belts. I've submitted with rear naked choke, with head and arm choke.
damn. You just list them in
Yeah,
the mouth.
but the head and arm choke was opportunistic. I saw it, I grabbed it. I think I've submitted with guillotine also. Obviously, guillotine is like you fall into it in a.
You're
like,
in trouble. If you
fall
fall into it right,
you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, you can set it up and all that, but it's hard to set anything up on black belts,
Yeah.
right? So that's why a lot of it has to be. On the other hand, rear naked choke, if you take the back,
yeah,
the chances increase because you're behind them.
yeah,
You know? So,
Yeah.
but taking the back is not that easy either.
Right.
I don't know.
I would say
obviously some
guillotine.
leg locks.
Oh, dude, I'm so ass at those.
No, I mean I've done like leg locks and black belts because you go easy, they tap easy. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
most of it is because of, I don't know if most of it is because people are just being protective of themselves.
yeah. I'm not trying to fuck that. Yeah.
So
But I brought up Clevers to say that I also appreciate a little bit of the tradition. I think it becomes a problem when it's like everything revolves around this. It's no longer about the jiu-jitsu and
Right.
the environment and the
Right.
experience of like coming to train here. Because like we're dues paying members of this gym.
That's
I'm paying
right.
money to be here, and if I don't like being here, why am I paying money?
Right.
Well, yeah, and there's but
I think.
But there's some aspect of the tradition that like you lose the like part of like what martial arts cultivates of like that respect, discipline.
I think all of that, the tradition kind of getting put in the rear view, is a direct result of jiu-jitsu's proliferation in America. You're not going to get a bunch of Americans to join your religion, but you can get them to join your jiu-jitsu club. When I mean religion, I mean that strict craziness. You'll get some, obviously, and in the beginning, that's how it was. But for it to get big, as big as it is now, like when I started jiu-jitsu, I went to the Worlds. That was back when I was in Brazil. You know what I'm saying?
You
And
live in Brazil?
I didn't live there. I went the
he went to the
Mundials.
Worlds and he banged the chick.
I mean, I banged more than one.
Two, in fact.
It was wild out there. That's a podcast in and of itself. But
You're not married, right? 50.
yeah, I know.
Damn, that's
Ladies, he's eligible.
Ladies.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into my most interesting man alive bag. That's like the next goal, because those dudes operated at different,
Anyway, Brazil.
Brazil was dope, and at that time, this is
Was it in
90s. Huh?
Was it in Rio?
Yes. Is it a place? They always held the Mundials at a place called the Tijuca Tennis Club, the tennis club. And it was kind of run down, but there was just a bunch of tradition there. I remember on the finals, I was sitting there with a dude that I went there with. His name was Brad Swearingen. But I had a picture for years. I don't know if I still have this picture. I might. But who's the referee that got kicked out of the UFC? Mario Yamasaki.
Yamasaki?
Yeah.
He had a school in Virginia. Like, we knew him.
Yeah.
He was
He
friends with our
He had some
school.
good guys.
It's Brazilian, no?
He had some good guys.
He's Brazilian.
Yeah.
He's a Brazilian Japanese.
Sure, I used to work with the lady who grew up with him in DC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was cool. I defended him as long as I could about that bad refereeing, but it just got bad.
It got progressively worse.
It got worse. And then when he started to defend it, I was just going to let him be warriors. Like, what does that mean?
He said if he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies.
He said that?
No.
No,
That's a Rocky
That's
quote,
pretty
bro.
much
Rocky
what he
quote.
said.
Like, really?
The Russian. But yeah,
Rocky
just
IV.
like you said, I think you're not going to get the sport as big as it is in America and growing. Multiple promotions, you got people making millions of dollars.
Yeah, you need some flash, some.
Well, you've got to have flexibility. Americans aren't going to be, I'm not. Can I go off the mat to go to the bathroom? You got to bow, and I don't mind that because that's how I kind of came up. I still bow.
I do too.
I take my shoes off. I step on the mat, and I do.
A lot of people do. I don't do it. I've never done it, but a lot of people
I guess
do
I don't notice anyone else doing it because I'm not really looking for anyone else to do it. But
I know people do. Some people do it. I don't know many that do it, but some people do here at least.
they restricted for Dooms, kind of. A little bit to where I was just like going, I didn't mind it because I love Gustavo, but I was just like, okay, I didn't know they still did this shit. Where you had to wear the same color gi.
Yeah.
Not
Oh
that.
my god.
Couldn't be mixing shit up. And I remember that was a rule. And I was in there one morning with Gustavo and I knew that no one was coming in because it was an early morning class. And fucking it wasn't a private. It was just a class, but I was the only one in there. It was just Gustavo and I. And Lucas came in. And I could kind of tell Gustavo was like, oh, shit. But he said something. He brought it up and kind of like made it okay. And I was just like, sorry, it was a laundry day or something. He cleaned it up for me. But they didn't fuck around. You couldn't like when instruction was being given, you had to be sitting if you were sitting down, you had to be sitting attentively. You couldn't be all out. You couldn't do that. And they would point you out. Leaving the mat was a big deal. I remember one time, I've got a rough shoulder. we were doing these things, and I think this actually hurt me more, where you would get against the wall and do a handstand straight up and down, and then do push-ups. It was tough. Dude, I did them, and then the next day, my shit wouldn't work, and we had to do them again. And I remember I was just like, I can't do it. And the dude, whoever was teaching, was just like, we're not going to stop until he does them. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I paying for, like, it?
That's the part of tradition that
it got worked out, but I was just like,
if you're running a competition team as a coach,
that's a little bit different.
That's a different thing because you need to have that kind of discipline.
This was a competition class.
You need to have that. That's a different story. But you got a bunch of fucking 100%. Retirees there, and you're gonna do that.
I'm a hobbyist, man.
Yeah, are you gonna?
Most people are.
Would you rather take their money or lose them?
Right.
I've actually realized that for me.
And people don't like you. What the fuck, People talk shit about you after that, reasonably so.
I mean, for me, I feel like jiu-jitsu is way more about play, about like having fun. I recently realized I was just like driving back home, and I'm like, oh, this is like when I was a kid and I was like playing a video game or like playing with my friends or pretend. It's just like unlocks that part of my brain.
Yeah.
It's like if I can't dick around and do that in class, why am I doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Right?
Do I want a big sweaty guy on top of me for like 3 minutes of the round? And
if I'm trying to become the ADCC champion 30 years ago, yeah, because I know it takes, like wrestling, it's not supposed to be fun. We can talk about later, the hard work was fun and worth it, blah, blah, blah. But when you're in it, it's not really fun unless the suffering is worthwhile. Like, I'm suffering right now because I'm trying to do this thing, and you can see yourself making progress. I get that. But, at 50, it's a challenge just to walk through the front door.
The other thing is we're all different sizes, we're all different ages,
different health,
genders, different belts. You go to a wrestling practice there. They match you up with someone your size. They match you up. I always try to match people, unless it's the morning class when they know each other. They can match up however they want.
Right.
But in those classes that I do now, the afternoon classes, I match people up because people are sometimes they look to the left and then they pick up the guy that's next to them, and it's like a 220-pound guy and you're 150 pounds.
And especially if you don't know what you're doing.
The problem is you want to do front headlock drills with that guy? You're probably not. You can't be doing that.
Double legs with that guy,
or anything for that matter.
Dude, front headlocks isn't fun for me with
your size.
Marcos.
And Marcos is bigger. That's my point. You want to be someone your size.
He's big and athletic.
Yeah. So
he's getting technical too.
Dude, he is.
Yeah.
He's getting technical these days.
I had him tight. We started from a front headlock position. And I was like, dude, I'm not trying to let him go. I had it tight, and I went for a guillotine. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I went for a guillotine, and I could feel it kind of go, and I was like...
Oh, I remember that.
All I needed to do was kind of get this in more and get this around, but I got stuck. He was so strong. I was like, and I kept trying to move my whole body into it until it didn't work.
I saw you holding that guillotine for maybe about 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And I knew you didn't have it, otherwise you would have tapped, but I saw you straining, and I saw you working, I'm like, man, Ian is going to burn himself out, and he's going to suffer for that. And as I thought about it, Marcus' head pops out. Marcus' head pops out, and I'm like, Ian is fucked.
The reason why I didn't let go is because I was getting a reaction. So I was like, dude, if I can keep holding on to this, and if I can get... I need to rotate
the same thing.
But I heard
I hear you.
And I could tell he was like, and I was like, fuck, I'm not letting go until I had to let go.
Yeah, and I don't know people drill with him at 7 a.m. because we were sparring the other day. I did the 8 p.m. the night before, so I was like super tired.
I can't do that.
Dude, the first roll, he double legged the shit out of me off the mat, and I was like, what the hell am I doing here at 7:30 in the morning?
And then he got thrown by.
My ass is still sore from getting dumped.
He got dumped by Chris. Chris, muscular Chris. He just got his blue belt the other day, last promotion.
I was on his back, no hooks, because I was like, I was gonna throw hooks, but I was like,
and he 4-pointed like a wrestler.
I was like,
slid off.
Wait, did you have a seatbelt?
I did. Well, I actually had. I had a seatbelt.
No,
I had a seatbelt, but the thing is that I was gonna throw hooks, but he had a knee brace, and I was like, I don't want to mess up his knee, because that's what I would have done. and then he threw the shit out of me, and then
How did he throw you from the back? What did
he four-pointed, and I went over the top.
him.
Oh,
And he
But I was standing.
no.
But I was standing.
But the other thing is that this happened to him right after Marcus double-legged him on the next roll, and this guy got so pissed, his face got red. He's a Mexican, but he's light skin. His face got so red. I'm like, holy shit! And he's like, ah, fuck.
I did choke the shit out of him after that.
I know you did, but that's how I knew you were mad after that. Also,
I congratulate you for doing a night class and then coming in the next morning. 'Cause
No,
that
I
shit-
can't.
I don't have an option.
I'm still
That's
trying.
right.
I'm trying to do that. Like
It's hard.
I took class
It's hard.
last night, dude, and I set my alarm, and dude, when my eyes, I'm like, oh,
no,
dude,
it's,
I can't
that
do
shit
it,
is
dude.
that
I
shit
can't do
is
it.
yeah. Unless you're pressed to do it, it's pointless. I wouldn't even do it if I were you. Like it's pointless because it's just too taxing on your body. You know,
It's tough.
like I mean.
It,
What is it? You want to squeeze one more training session
Basically.
within 12 hours?
No,
Well,
within
no,
the week.
I'm
Usually when I
trying-
do it, it's because I have to work at my
yeah, but
usual,
you're thinking
time.
about the week as a 7-day period, or you're thinking about the week as a 5-day period, or a
do you try to
6-day
get a
period?
certain
6
number of
days.
days?
Okay, so you're thinking about of the week as a
Because I usually don't train
you're from
Sundays.
you graduated MIT. Do I have to tell you this? Listen to me. Now. You look at the week as a 6-day period frame of time, right? 6 days, not 7, because you train 6 days.
Because on the 7th, got arrested.
Correct, and you, because you know, in,
Same
in,
thing.
in,
The
in the image,
Sabbath.
in the image of God. Anyway, so of those 6 days,
See, I am
if
Jewish.
you train,
I was gonna say that, but I was
what?
he's like, see, I am Jewish. They don't mess around on Sunday.
If you
Or,
train,
no, that's Friday for them. But anyway,
You know, whatever.
if you train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, let's say 3 days out of the 6, right? Assume you train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then you're like, okay, and then I'm gonna rest Saturday and Sunday, for example, or you're gonna whatever, you know. So you train 3 out of the 6 days as a general rule, and then you're like, okay, well, next week I'm gonna go on vacation, and I'm going on vacation on like, let's say Saturday or Friday, so I'm not gonna be able to train Friday, so I need to squeeze another one in. You're actually squeezing it, but you're narrowing down your 6-day frame. You know, it's like you're narrowing down the period of time in which you're training. So that might be counterproductive if you think about it, especially if you do like back to back almost. Now, back to back classes might be better than sleeping, than doing a class and then sleeping and then going back to another one, because your body
Is already warm.
Your body is already warm, and you can pace yourself a little
Loses.
better rather than get up tired, beat up, and then go and do front headlock drills. You know, like
Yeah.
fucking, you know what I mean, or something like that. So it's really, I think, counterproductive to
it depends on your goal.
try to squeeze another. Yeah, but what is your goal if you try to squeeze another session within? You know
my
what I mean?
goal, my shit's, I try to get 5. I try to get on the mat 5 times in a week.
But that's exactly my point, Ian. You're trying to get 5 times
But I've
in a
got
week.
my
but
schedule is so restricted, more than the average bear, where I only have a certain. I can only make Monday night. Tuesday morning is hardly ever. Tuesday night, there's days I can like, and there's some days that I can't come.
Then you
like
shouldn't-
your class
then you shouldn't
on
do-
Thursday.
then
so
honestly-
I've got just a couple of configurations of classes.
then honestly, you should not do 5 days a week. Then, if you don't have the time to do the 5 days, you shouldn't, because you're pushing yourself too close, especially at our age. You're pushing yourself in those back-to-back situations with a little bit of nap in between.
That makes a bunch of sense.
Your sleep is you don't sleep too many hours either.
That makes a
enough
bunch of
hours.
sense, but I'm behind the 8 ball. I've started and stopped so many times that I know it's not really like this, but I've got to kind of make up for lost time.
No,
I've got to
you
kind
don't.
of
Didn't you wrestle for like?
Don't you think that
in high school.
Don't you
in
think that
college.
making up for so you're saying if you took a week, a year off, and you're let's say 15 years into it, and you took a year off, essentially
It was way worse than that.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like you're 14 years into it, so now you have to make up for that 1 year wasted time, quote unquote, and you're gonna train once a week extra to make up for it. But the thing is, you're gonna start getting diminishing returns because you are only gonna get more and more tired, and the body is not gonna serve your purposes anymore. Your
Yeah,
muscles
but-
are not gonna hit the same way if you take breaks.
I'm not going to try to do doubles every day.
No, not every day, but back to backs. You know.
But if, like I won't have to do it this week. If I go tomorrow night and Friday night, I'm good.
Yeah. But tomorrow night and Friday morning is a different story. You don't have enough time to walk off your muscle.
You're right.
Like for me, for example, if I train, I might train but not roll. 3 days in a row. I really need to have the fourth day off completely.
Agreed.
Not even lifting weights, completely off. For me, at least.
I train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
But I can do this.
Thursday.
But I can do this. I can train 2 days in a row, rolling and everything, for like an hour straight rolling, no problem. On the third day, I could lift weights. On the fourth day and the fifth day, I could go back to rolling.
Yeah.
So I could do 5 days in a row, but I do need 2 days, 1 day, something else, and then 2 days again. But I can't do 3 days. Then I have to take a full day rest of everything.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that about myself. So I'm trying to pace myself in that way. So that's what I'm saying. With you, it's your schedule is sporadic. So in other words, you don't know when you're gonna train next, and that kind of anxiousness or anxiety, I should say, or that gives you anxiety, which is like, I really need to squeeze one more in. I'm going on vacation. I need to squeeze one more in. Don't think of it like this. Think about it like my vacation started a day earlier, or it is what it is, because when you get injured, you're gonna miss more.
Which I'm just coming off of.
You're just coming off of one, and that strategy that
Dude, that was a long time to
What'd
take
you
off
injure?
to. Dude, on a Monday morning, I injured my groin. Took time off, but I think I came back a little too soon. And then on another Monday morning, it was like 2 weeks later.
2 weeks after, yeah.
It was the same side, but it felt nasty when it happened, dude. Oh, I was going against Roger.
Rogelio.
And dude, I just felt it was just the nasty pain. And then I was out for considerably longer. I can still feel it's like 95% good. But I'm trying to be more careful now, for
Do
sure.
you guys know Adam? Muay Thai Adam?
Adam?
Yeah. He's actually a judoka, black belt as well.
Really?
Yeah, and he does Muay Thai. And we've been
Who's
talking about
Adam?
this lately. He's shorter. He's got like a mustache. He's a voice actor. He
pretty
wears
sure I
white
do.
boxing gloves.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Always shows up like 15 minutes late to Muay Thai. Kind of like dirty blonde hair.
Fuck, I'm pretty sure I do know him. Yeah.
You know everybody's name, Lugo.
No. The name sounds familiar when it comes to.
But we've been talking about. He's like, I think I want to say 40 or 42. He said that after he got done competing in judo, he's like, "What can I do so I can train the longest part of my life?" And he was like, he said rest and no alcohol. Those were the two things for him. But I think rest is hard for us. Just like training to get the stress out and.
Yeah, of course, but overtraining contributes to stress, because think about muscle pain, think about neck pain, think about God forbid injury. Now you're looking at not only pain because of the injury, but stress because you're not able to actually train. So
Dude, every time I put a shirt on or something, or like my little vest at work, I'm like, ugh. I make like old sounds. All throughout the day, I'm just like, damn, if I have to go to Jiujitsu, if I had to do Jiujitsu right now, it would be. And I think about that constantly throughout the day, to the point where I come in, I'm good now at being like, just go anyway. I'm good. Just go. You're gonna be uncomfortable. Cool. It's gonna suck. And I try not to think like I try to be like, dude, it's go. We're gonna feel good afterwards. But I've got these, So the rest for me, like this morning when I was like, man, I want to go to class, but I was just like, I can't. I've got to rest, or I'm gonna be super in bad shape.
see, with me, I have time to train, so with me, I don't feel that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of problem.
That's what I'm working for.
Because I have time to train, so with me, it's a little different. In other words, I can pace myself in my training probably better than you guys, but that's because of also the time factor,
Yeah, when I worked overnight, even though it was horrible, I'd get off work at like 6 in the morning, get home by like 7 around, go to sleep, wake up at 9:30, 9 o'clock, take a shower, whatever, put on some clothes and come here and train.
I remember.
But just being able to train at that hour, or have it was.
10 a.m. is the ideal time.
It was my favorite. I got to see
It's the ideal time to
Gustavo
train.
like 3 times a week. It was nice, but it was a crazy schedule for my body, dude.
Yeah, but I remember that time for you. You would go home. You would sleep like an hour, 2 hours max.
Yeah.
You come back. You come here. Your body gets like all excited.
And then have to
stuff,
go home and
then
go
you
to-
have to go home and you have to go back.
Try to go to sleep.
And you're like, and that's pretty much around noon,
Dude.
or just after.
And then don't get talk
And
to
then
the
you-
homie after class.
Yeah. I remember you telling me, dude, I have to go sleep. And I'm like, okay. And then you go home.
Because I got to get up at like 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
4:30.
So essentially, you're sleeping about 6 hours, but broken,
Oh my
with your
gosh,
body not really
broken.
resting.
No, and I did that for years.
I remember, and that's what I'm saying. That makes your body fucked up, like
Yeah.
even more.
That definitely took some years.
Those
off the
graveyard
back end.
shifts, they're no
Yeah.
good for diet. They're no good for
Yeah.
you know.
And honestly, I tell you, as soon as I stopped, I can say this to this day, it's totally different. The main reason why I like the overnight is because I don't like dealing with the public. You know what I mean? I just don't I like doing that. I have to deal with the public a lot more now. But that's just it. I deal with it. The plus that I feel, the benefits that I feel from having at least closer to a normal schedule, sleeping at night, I wouldn't go back to the night shift, no matter what kind of little freedom that it would afford me. Health is definitely,
Yeah, it's an important
it's real wealth,
factor. Yeah.
Especially getting 50, it's like, man,
Shit.
to feel good is like, I feel like I'm rich. The times I'm like, oh man, okay, I can deal with it. I'm like, dude, that's like having a bunch of money in my pocket now.
What do you guys think of the way the B team handled the J-Rod thing?
I think they handled it the best way.
Came out of nowhere.
It's probably the most
No.
transparent I've ever seen a team
I know, right?
organization be.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
honestly.
And I'm glad they did it, because I was thinking how every other team covers shit up.
Yeah, that's why I said
Probably
that.
including
transparent.
New Wave. I don't know, what's going on there, because
Yeah,
you
never know.
you never know. But remember those
And
things
that's what I
that
was talking-
Craig was talking about
with Nikki and
Sonny.
Gordon's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
And that's why I was
So-
talking about like egos and like why is jiu-jitsu just this place where people are attracted to and do like,
I think
But
anywhere you
I'd like to
go,
say that the transparency is refreshing.
Correct.
anywhere you go where there's a hierarchy, and
That's right.
and dudes are going to be in positions of power, that's just going to happen. That shit is
Probably.
going to happen.
Probably, but the question is, what kind of consequences are there going to be when it comes to light? Because if you work somewhere in a workplace, you start doing stuff like that, it'll come to light, and then there'll be consequences for you, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't
it
mess
won't
around.
it won't get covered up, most likely it won't get covered up, unlike every gym when it gets covered up. But now you're looking at the B team actually, and the other thing about the B team is, dude, that must have been going on for a while without them knowing, though. I'm sure they didn't know, or something happened, because
I think it was multiple people.
yeah,
So that to me says that it was going on for a
some
while.
time.
correct.
But probably on the second or the third or more, the bitches got together and were like, "What the fuck? We got to say something. This is
Yeah.
crazy." And you see him on TV, and I love the kid. I'm not judging him. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. That's what made me feel bad. I look at this kid, not like a son, but I'm like, he's a cool young man. I
Yeah.
love him. I love those dudes. And the other thing is the first thing that I saw was that girl Ali Walski.
Yeah.
She wrote something, and I was like, oh shit, because she's kind of cool. She's cool too. I like her too. I like her a lot. She seems really solid. So then I went to his page. Oh, she said he admitted to it,
Yeah,
and I was like, and then when I saw his post and him talking to the camera,
yeah,
that made me feel really good about it because he wasn't trying. He didn't try to shirk anything. He didn't come out and be like, "Look, I did some fuck," but he was like, "I did it. I'm in therapy. I did it. That's it. Didn't leave a place for comments."
Yeah.
So I don't know what he did. I'm gonna take for granted that he didn't do anything crazy, like rape somebody or God. I don't think that he probably did some crazy shit, but something that he can
allegedly had explicit photos of team members, and then AI generated explicit photos of those people.
Okay,
like that.
that's scummy, but we can get over that. We can get over that. That's
You
bad.
can put hands on somebody is what you're trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that is that's taking it shit too far. Like Lloyd Irvin.
Dude, when you were talking about like gyms and things happening without consequences, he was the first person.
He was
What
the
happened with
first,
Lloyd
bro.
Irvin?
He
What
was the
happened with him?
first.
They had like a major.
Is that why Keenan left?
Yes, Keenan
What-
and
what-
JT Torres.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I used to train under Greg Souders, but Greg Souders was also
Greg Souders
formerly
was also-
under Lloyd Irvin.
I didn't know that.
And then he left because of that as well.
I didn't know
and that's why he
that.
ended up finishing with David Rock Jacobs, because he's like, that's not who I want to be associated with.
It was.
What happened with
It was. There
Lloyd
was.
Irvin?
It was. I think it happened around like the New Year. There was like a New
Oh yeah,
Year.
like the legends I've trained with: Clever Luciano and Greg Souders. That's who made me who I am.
Greg
anyway.
Souders is a little bit.
less legendary.
He's good. He was a good teacher.
Well,
He's a
no,
good
he's
teacher.
becoming big now.
He's an innovator.
He's one of the best teachers I ever had. But anyway, continue.
There was some, and I don't know the whole specifics, but there's a dude that was on his team, DJ Jackson, a black dude.
Yep.
It was DJ Jackson, and I think Lloyd Irvin, but
I'm pretty sure it was Lloyd Irvin too.
it was like a New Year's party or something like that, and some sexual harassment generally went on. I don't know if it was like some touching too far. That's the gist that I got about it, where the girls were like, "This is crazy."
And then there's also the culture of the gym, right?
The culture of the gym was kind of
running
toxic.
it around
And
Lloyd
he-
Irvin and
look, I got this whole thing with people. When you become a jiu-jitsu professor or whatever and have your own shit, when you have people call you master. Eddie Bravo does. It's just weird to me. People are called master. You shouldn't, dude. This, I heard myself say this. And I was like, this is weird. When I was training at Gracie Academy, I was in the little locker. They had like a locker room with showers. It was nice in there. And I was putting my stuff on, and Horian walked in. Dude, I've heard all kinds of stuff about Horian. Horian tried to steal the Gracie name.
Yeah.
And that's none of my business. But I never thought in my head, oh, Horian. Look, when he walked in that room and it was just me and him, and I looked up and I saw that mustache, and I was like, master.
Oh my god!
It just came out. I was like, master. And he said something. I remember thinking this shit's fucking funny. He said something like you could tell he said it a million times, like, thanks for visiting. And kept on pushing. But like I said, people are called master. If I saw Hickson,
But
when I'm like, okay, everybody call me master.
yeah. Well,
Call me master.
Well, there's the other thing, people start calling you master, and then
You dig it.
kind of like it,
Yeah.
and then you don't mind it anymore when
Yeah.
people say, because at first you will be like master, and then it's like master. That reminds you of like Seinfeld, where yeah, I am.
It's still weird though.
Dude.
But
weird.
but here's the other thing though.
Also, Lloyd Irvin and Eddie Bravo, they're better
They're
than
great.
me. But
Masters?
dude, masters, come on.
I think that master, the word master in the American English language specifically, has a different connotation than mestre in Portuguese.
Or Spanish, maestro.
Yeah, or maestro in Spanish, which means teacher. But in Bulgarian, master means, in fact, in the Russian, in the Soviet sports school system, they have master of the sport.
Right.
And that's what master refers to, a master of something. So
Okay.
a master of jiu-jitsu, mestre, no? Or a mestre maybe in the case of, but the Brazilians use professor, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so they don't mean mestre as in maestro. I think they mean it as in master, as a master of the sport, right? But in American English specifically, I don't know about British, but in American English specifically, master
Master has
has
a history.
Has a history. You
Has
know?
a history.
I don't know if you want to call somebody master necessarily.
Well, that's
these
why
days.
I don't throw it around. That's why, like,
That's
when
what
it
I'm saying,
came out,
right?
I was just
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this just came out. It was like, whoa.
Even Gustavo hates it when people call him master.
Should we all start calling him master?
He because we've asked him like what.
I wouldn't call Gustavo master.
No, but
I wouldn't even call Fabricio master.
well, you know, Forbes calls everybody master. He calls me master. I'm like,
Who
oh,
does?
Forbes.
Forbes.
Who's that?
Muay Thai guy. New.
Oh, wait,
new way.
Yep. Anyway,
He was leaving when I came
We
in.
love you,
he was-
Forbes.
Yeah, he's cool.
So he goes master this master, and I remember Gustavo. I think that was the context. It's like master. I'm like, you like it when they call you master? It's like, I don't know.
That's because Gustavo's a sweetheart.
I
Gustavo's not
remember
about that.
people ask him. I remember new guys would ask him, "What should I call you, coach, professor, Gustavo?" He's like, whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. You know, whichever one you want, you call me. It's fine with me. So I've always called him Gustavo, but I also know that other people have always called him professor. You do.
I call him professor.
And
Yeah.
the reason why I do,
Some people call him coach.
and I will call him Gustavo from time to time. The reason why I do is because when I started jiu-jitsu, motherfucking a black belt is a professor. That's all there is to it. And that's just
Same.
how I was. No, every black belt to me.
Well, but professor is someone who teaches, right?
Okay, when I say every black belt, you're right.
You mean every black belt instructor?
Yeah.
Any black
Yeah,
belt
yeah.
that instructs me.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
see
think
what
I've ever
you-
called Kyle professor though.
I haven't.
No, Kyle. I mean, no, I haven't called him professor, but I got people call me professor in the morning, and I'm like since I was like purple belt, I remember, and I'm like, I feel uneasy when people do it, but I don't say anything because whatever, you know.
I mean,
but I still feel
I
uneasy
get
even
what
to
you're
this day
saying,
when they call me professor.
But
It's like,
I would think. I remember when I first started. Like the school that I first went to was run by a blue or a purple belt. During those times, you would see dudes with purple belts that would have the red band on them.
yes.
The instruction band. So, I kind of. You're my best jiu-jitsu friend. I'm not gonna call you professor probably. But I could see.
But you could, right?
But master,
But
but
call him
master.
master.
But it wouldn't
You can
hurt.
call him master.
Would it hurt you to call me professor every so often? Or master? Or mestre?
I'm done. And fuck this boy's going into exception. That shit was fucking funny. I don't even know what I was saying.
Anyway, you wouldn't call
credits.
you wouldn't call me professor.
I wouldn't call you professor just because you're the homie. But I can see where, especially someone that's newer
Yeah, I
to
mean,
you in this gym, and for whatever reason follows those traditions or is aware of them, would call you professor.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't correct people for that. Like,
I definitely wouldn't if I were you.
I would-
Because I mean, you teach a lot of classes. You were a good instructor.
thanks. I do. I would ask people
alright.
to wear flip flops though. You know.
I mean, we all need to do that.
No, I mean off the mats.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yes.
I saw old boy the other day with his. I was just like,
No, it's Muay Thai people, savages,
they're wild.
savages.
You're turning into one.
Dude,
You got the after sheet.
I stepped on the jiu-jitsu mat without cleaning my feet one day, and I was
Coming from the jungles of
Alex
Thailand.
Bobby called me out. He was like, you do 2 Muay Thai classes. It's like you're turning into one of them.
I remember Kevin. You know Kevin.
Yeah, the one who's always injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Kevin goes fucking. Kevin has injured himself in every single class I've taken with him without rolling with me. Now, I mean, he's rolling with me, but not rolling with me. He's gotten injured, but he's gotten injured in almost every single class that I've taken with
We
him.
love you, Kevin.
Yeah, that's Kevin. Anyway, I remember this one time, man, we were fucking doing a Q&A on a Friday, and everybody's sitting and listening, you know, and there was somebody was asking a question, right? So Gustavo was explaining all this stuff, and Kevin from, I don't know, from afar sees some guy coming out of the bathroom without
Dude,
shoes
I remember that
and
day.
stepping on the mat, and Kevin goes like, and he fucking runs to him and he's like, bro, you can't do that.
Do I know Kevin?
You know him for sure. You just came out of the bathroom. Now you're wearing nothing. Now you're gonna step on the mat. You gotta go clean your feet, man. You gotta go. And the guy was like, I mean,
Is he
was
kind of
new, but
muscular?
He is pretty muscular. He is,
Dark hair?
He lifts and stuff.
Dark hair.
I think I know.
Yeah.
Kind
who
of
he is.
slim.
I think I know him.
And the guy was like, okay.
Wait, he does jujitsu?
Yeah,
He does jiu-jitsu. He's a purple belt.
Okay.
He's what, 4-stripe purple maybe? 3?
About the same as me.
Yeah.
The day that I got some stripes on my brown belt, I remember my man was walking on without any shoes on, and then walked on the mat, and that dude,
Kevin? He must have flipped out.
dude, it's like people were lined up about to do this with Gustavo, and he blew the kid's spot the fuck up. To the point where I was just like going,
Poor kid. Dude, Abe the other day. Okay, this is worse.
Damn!
There's a guy who was visiting Muay Thai for the first time, and he was just like off the street, and it was his first class, and we started running laps. He gets on the mat with his shoes and starts running.
oh my god.
And Abe was like, he's like, no, you gotta get off. And Abe, I don't know, Abe can be a little gruff. Abe means well. He's a sweetheart at heart, but he's like, you gotta clean up where your paws hit the mat. He kept calling them his paws. I was like, poor guy. He's like, no, please, go get a wipe. Go clean where your paws hit the mat. Just clean where your paws hit the mat. Thank you, appreciate it. Like, all right, but also like shoes on the mat.
Like, dude.
Oh my gosh.
I went to a gym one time. It's Hollywood Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Boondock Saints,
No.
or
Oh,
about these two brothers. They spoke a bunch of languages.
no, I haven't.
The only reason why I brought that up is because one of the brothers, he's been in other movies too. He was a black belt at this spot. And I remember because I'd watched that movie a bunch of times. And then I show up at this spot, I'm like, that's that motherfucker. Well, after the class, the place was kind of small. It was in like a strip mall in Hollywood. So I remember, I just threw everything in a bag. It was small, it was hot in there. So I didn't have a shirt on. And I was walking out the door.
You didn't have a shirt?
I didn't. And these motherfuckers just, whoa. And pretty much what they were saying was, they're like, we've got close neighbors and then customers. I mean, it was in a strip mall, so it was like real tight. He was like, we kind of like want to walk out not looking like we've been in here fighting. And I was just like, I remember I was like, oh, you kind of embarrassed. I was like, oh shit. I'm so sorry. They're like, no, don't worry about it. So yeah, it's kind of, it's important to be corrected, but I try to make it so I'm not corrected. You know what I'm saying? I try to.
So a few weeks ago, I'm taking Albert to this place. One time we went, and it's like a wrestling gym for kids. You know, they got a kids program in Santa Monica. So I take them over, and we go in there, and they have the mats were old, but they were clean. And they had you put on your shoes and then you go around the mat, and they had a thing where it looks like rubber sponges, and you step on it and it has some water with solution, right? And you step on it so the soles of your wrestling shoes get cleaned up, and then right next to it there are towels, and you just wipe them dry.
I've never seen that technology.
I've never seen it either. I've never seen it.
Rad.
Wipe them dry, and then you step on the mat. And I'm like, oh shit! And then Albert
That's
goes
cool.
to drink some water. He comes to me, but he stepped off the mat, and then he had to do the same technique again. I'm like, oh, they're looking after that shit. But then as the time kept going, because it was like a 2-hour thing, it was a small class. They moved to the one end of the mat, and then the other end, a guy comes in and he starts practicing Muay Thai, but he fucking walks all over barefooted, including on the mat, and the coach didn't tell him anything. And then the other guy comes in, who was, I think, partner in the gym or something, who was outside on his phone, I guess, for something, and this guy was waiting for him. The other guy was a coach, and he was having a private with him. He comes in, he fucking walks all over the place barefooted and he steps on. So you know who's the Muay Thai people, right?
Yeah.
And then they start a Muay Thai class and everyone does the same thing. And I'm like,
What's the point?
what's the point in, me going around fucking
Yeah.
washing and drying my
Yeah.
shoes, my wrestling shoes,
That's
when
weird.
these guys' feet look like fucking...
And this is the only place his shoes have been. The mat.
Yeah. Those shoes came out of my bag and not me, Albert. Putting them on. So there's the bench right here for you to sit and get dressed and maybe watch, and the mat is like literally from here to the wire, So you're putting your shoes right here and you step on the mat. Technically speaking, if that's what you're gonna do, you don't have to walk around or anything. But hey, maybe you want to go to the bathroom or whatever, and what are you gonna do then, right? So, but I'm just saying, like
They probably got a weird
it just
thing
makes
saying feet are cleaner than shoes.
Well, I don't know about that, because when you look at those feet, they probably have dirt saying "fuck you."
I know. But Craig, I didn't even believe that was real at
today
first.
are unbelievable.
I didn't believe that was real at first. I was like, "There's no way he got that."
Is it real though? I still can't
real.
believe it's real because
It's
I saw
real.
it today and it was like,
Wait, what did I miss? Craig has tattoos on
He
his
has
feet?
on his feet.
one
Fuck
foot
you.
says "fuck" and the other one "you."
So when he's in the guard position, his feet are like this. It says "fuck you."
I'm gonna get disqualified from.
I wonder. So
From
he
IBJJF?
has "fuck you." He has "fuck" on his right and left. On his left, he has "you" because you're
Yeah.
gonna read left to right. Correct?
Yeah.
But I wonder if he wrote it in Arabic, would it be the other way around? "Fuck you" from right to left. Think about this for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be from right to left, right?
You do have good segues today.
I do have amazing segues.
If they have a word for fuck.
I'm sure they do.
That's the one word every language has. What are we gonna do? I don't know. We don't have a word for it. Well, you know that thing, but we don't have a word for it.
Well, fuck isn't it a acronym?
What? Is it?
Is that a
I thought it
segue to
was.
something?
I don't know if
Are you
that's
thinking
a.
about FUBU? Sorry, dating you. Forest bias.
What is an acronym fuck for? What is fuck
I always
an
heard. I
acronym?
didn't know if it was like a wives' tale, but I thought it came from for unlawful carnal knowledge.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, and shit, I also heard is an acronym, and it came from store. It's a boating term. Store. It meant something you had to store it up high. Shit. Anyway, that's what I heard. Fuck came from.
Interesting.
And
I'm gonna do some research on that
Yeah.
and leave it for next time.
Well, this is a researcher too. You might want to get some tips.
Yeah, while you're researching.
Google.com.
Google, yeah, nobody else knows how to research. Nobody else knows. You gotta do MIT to research.
I know.
What fuck stands for.
I mean, they don't teach you that at MIT. You're just there to study.
Those simple things they don't teach you. Huh?
You're using Google.com. That's your research secret.
Basically. GoogleScholar.com, you could probably.
Google.
What are the
I
origins?
just heard about Google Scholar,
It's like an
Google.
academic. It's like for academic
Yeah.
papers and stuff like
but
that.
they've got like all of them.
Yeah, they got a lot of them. People put their stuff on there because you get more hits.
Do you have a
Google
job
myself? I do Google
where
myself.
do you ever do papers that get published?
Yeah, I do papers that get published.
Oh wow, that's
Your face.
impressive.
We never had a smart person here before.
I mean,
that's-
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't be too generous, man.
That's
You had
dope.
Mike
I'm
on
not.
here.
Mike Smart?
Mike
You're
is
right.
Yeah.
He's
Mike
really
is fucking smart, dude.
He's
Mike
like a whip.
Mike is really smart. Forget about it, jokes aside. Mike is really smart.
You're gonna ask about research.
Yeah, just to me that's impressive when you to get published. I think that's impressive to everybody. But is it your research that's getting published?
Yeah. Like stuff that I do for my organization is all public facing. Like if you go to our website, latino.ucla.edu, like I published a bunch. There's like 20 things that I've done. That's my day to day. So like writing data.
That's sick.
Question is like, what do people do with it? That's the question. But data is also knowledge, and like that's also helpful.
What's like the ceiling for you? What is like the baddest person in your field? What are they doing?
That's a great question, actually. I mean,
Are there any like celebrity people, like celebrity to y'all? You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but I mean,
Like, is there a dude that does your job that's
I
got
mean,
all
ideally,
kinds of stuff?
someone who's in my
Have
position.
you met the chief city planner of?
I mean, like,
the LA city planner.
dude, LA's politics sucks, and our city planning sucks. I don't
Really?
think they really care about anything but their own image. I'll go on public.
It's
Oh
hard-
shit, it's
it's-
public record, but
It's hard
like,
to. Don't worry. It's like.
But it's
No one, no one, no one.
No,
people
but
are
it's
gonna
like
watch it and none
it's
of
a
them
place
know.
where like people. I think California politics is this way too. A lot of people come here to make a name for themselves and their reputation, whether or not they're actually about values or something. Like, okay, you lived in Virginia and DC. I also lived in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is where shit gets done, and people are like, I don't really care about my name being out there, but we're gonna make sure people have a house over there or roof over their heads, whatever. You know, make sure people have access to stuff. Here it's like, well, we might make homelessness illegal.
Right. They're spending all this money on homelessness and they don't have an accounting for it.
Dude.
Like
Yo.
millions. I work right across the street. One of the places where I work is a distro, but it's right across the street from a building. They just built this big building for housing homeless, which I think is cool. But the thing is the accounting is all jammed up, and they've done that before,
Yeah.
and it's failed
Well, I think too.
terrifically before. So I'm just like, well, I hope this one works. But
We make
you know,
building expensive. I think too. Yeah, I don't know. There's like a lot of red tape about getting things approved just to build in this state. Environmental impacts, that stuff drives up costs too.
Republican states are easier on real estate in terms of development, building, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, to answer your question, like,
Or might you go into politics?
huh?
Might you go into politics
I
ever?
don't know, dude. I don't need that kind of public attention in my life. But like, I don't know. People who are like researcher that I like. She was economic advisor to Joe Biden for like 6 months in the White House, and I've known people who worked in the White House. So that's like,
Would you
that's
work
cool
for a
'cause
politician?
I would work
in
for
a role
politician,
like that?
but I'd have to actually like the politician. I'm not
course.
gonna work for whoever. I have to actually feel inspired. My father-in-law is like super conservative, old school, like 1980s Reagan guy,
Yeah.
respectable.
Yeah.
Still like holds to his values even though nobody else is. And I was like, when was the last time a politician inspired you? And he listed a few, and I was like, I don't think a politician's ever inspired me. So it'd have to be someone special, but I could see myself doing that one day. But like, you know, one of our advisors is a former legislator in Sacramento, and he recently retired. He termed out. He was up there for like 10, 12 years. And he was telling me that like his kids have to get used to him being home. His daughter was like, "Oh, so that means I can't sleep in the bed with mom anymore."
Aww.
And he's like, he basically up there like at least half the year, Monday to Friday. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. It's,
When am I gonna train jiu-jitsu?
People,
When am I gonna see my family?
Yeah, you got that little girl. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
state
So
legislators and Congress people, like senators and all that stuff for the federal government, same thing. I mean, they live there practically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And they're from here or from Maine or
but like
whatever.
working for like a local elected would be cool. If there's somebody that like I respected and thought was doing good stuff, like I'd do that in a heartbeat. But like it's not glamorous, and when you're working for them, you're working. You're like always on. Like
Yeah.
same guy, he was telling me like he'd be at home on his break days, and like a constituent would come up to him and ask him questions. You could be having dinner with your family, and they're like, "What are you doing about?" I
Yeah.
don't know, and you're like, "God, I'm just trying to have dinner with my family."
Yeah.
So
It's like that celebrity type thing.
it's different though because celebrities don't have responsibilities to their fans, but you were elected for a reason. You got a
Yeah.
responsibility to like do things, whatever your mandate, quote unquote, was, right? So like, but yeah, you know, I've always like I'd love to be an influential, faceless bureaucrat somewhere. It's like
There was let's close out after this, but there was a what is the? It's not a mayor of Mar Vista, but council.
Oh yeah, city or it's like
City-
It's like a neighborhood council, right?
Neighborhood council or something. Yeah, yeah. I don't know exactly what the position was, but he was basically the one that the Mar Vista area here, and it was like fucking like some hatred on him. It was during COVID, I think. There was some hatred on him. Writings on the walls, you know, get rid of. I forgot his name too.
Damn, for
Anyway.
Mar Vista's
From
neighborhood.
Mar Vista, yeah. So, dude, so this guy comes here with but I don't even know what he looks like. Pete doesn't know what he looks like. A guy comes with his kid, and he goes up to the office to sign off his kid or whatever for classes, and he gives his card, and it's the last name is that. And Pete looks at it, he's like, any relationship to, he's like, yep, that's me. And Peter's like, tough times for you or something like that. And the guy goes like, can't wait to be out of this shit.
Really?
Yeah, dude, imagine like doing work. I mean, if you're not doing work, then you probably wouldn't say I can't wait to be out of this shit, because then you wouldn't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing some kind of work, I mean, even if it's not the work that your constituents think you should be doing, right? Or they think you're not doing a good enough work,
or not doing it fast enough,
whatever the case. Sometimes it doesn't just depend on you. Let's not forget that, right?
Sometimes there's a social context or
and it's not up to you or anyone else to decide. It might be, like you say, something else going on that stops you from doing something that you want to do but you can't. And this is what politics is all about, after all. And people don't understand that our constituents are driven by their own
interests,
their own life. Somebody's poor and they want more money or more social services. Somebody has too much money, they don't want to pay enough tax, much tax, and that kind of stuff. So it becomes like
homeowner, you want high property value,
lower property taxes, that kind of stuff, right? So you're looking at all that, and you're doing the best you can, and people shit on you left and right. It's like, and you're away from your family. Like, I mean, you're not away, but long working hours, and you're like, fuck it, I don't need that shit, because you go in there with good intentions, and I believe that a lot of politicians go in there with good intentions, and then there's so much red tape, like you say, and it just stops you from doing what you want to do.
But
by the way, have you guys seen? Let's really close out after this one because it's late. We all got to be up early. But have you seen The Wire, the show?
Oh, I know The Wire. Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, I think, with the actor that became mayor, the guy that became mayor, he went in like with all the greatest intentions and all that, and then he became like not that he became bad or corrupt, but he was like starting to change, because of how politics were.
That was probably before the real era of like social media. Now we're like
was before social media.
And now we're like every move that you do is recorded.
Dude,
and I think
broadcast.
people also have narratives that they fit you into.
Of course.
And I think like the way that the algorithms are made also like exacerbate that rage, right? So it's like it just plays you into this thing. You're like, that's not what's actually happening if you talk to people. Yeah. And that's not the way that we're understanding things. But like, it makes it harder to do a job because you're just trying to answer for, social media.
It makes the job impossible.
So no, I don't want to be a politician.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's very hard to do what you were elected to do, and not only that, but what you want to do, because sometimes you might say things that you don't really believe to get elected, which is a necessity, and you could put them on the back burner, like, you know what, we'll figure that out when the time comes to it.
Yeah, and then,
but then you can't even do the shit you actually want to do.
You get hamstrung,
and then it's like, I might as well fucking do what I told him I was gonna do, even if it's in my best interest,
right?
But it's not what I want to do.
Because once you get in office, you might have a bunch of different jobs to do, but the only job that's important is to stay in office
and get reelected.
And then you're focusing all that money and all that attention and power to staying in power. Everything else is put on the back burner. And then people become psychopaths, these politicians, to the point where they're just like, I don't give a fuck.
Just keep me
you
power.
Get Lauren Boebert
and
in these
the longer
schools.
you stay in that game, the more you become like that, obviously.
100%.
Look at and I don't mean to say anything bad about Joe Biden, but look at Joe Biden in office since 1970, 69, right? And then, I mean, that's a long time.
Dude, what are people like, even your age, going to be in, like, I don't know.
Dude, I'm young for politics.
Dude, you got a new second career coming, bro. You got a second career.
Dude, 16 years ago, you wouldn't even be able to become a president.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, people forget that I think, like, democracy and the way we run things is meant to be slow. So when change doesn't happen at the speed that they want, they're like, they don't care. But like, our institutions aren't geared for fast change. That's the whole reason that they're set up the way they are. Things are supposed to be deliberative. Now, who was it deliberative? And who was it deliberative for in the beginning is obviously a valid question, right?
Yeah.
But like, the whole point now is like, they're slow, deliberative processes that take place over time.
Yeah.
Over years as opposed to say over months. So
Yeah, but
Or
look what's
overnight,
happening right
which is
now.
like yeah.
Gulf of America.
oh my God.
100 executive orders a day, changing. It's
Yeah.
madness. Like, what the hell is going on?
It's a good thing those things don't take overnight to change, because you don't know.
And that was the point.
Yeah.
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 But and those executive orders, like, if the Democratic gets elected in like 3 or 4 years' time, they're gonna,
They're gonna reverse. Yeah, that's what happened in the previous.
which is the whole point of why you don't legislate through executive order. You go
Yeah.
through Congress, but we're kind of at a place where Congress hasn't done much for like a decade and a half.
It's been a minute.
And it's crazy because right now Trump has the Congress, so he could drive it. I mean, but they gotta fucking wake up too.
His stuff is so outlandish, though, that even a lot of them have to.
That's the thing, though. That's the
people
thing,
have to be
though.
careful what they get behind all the way, because it ends up hurting them. His stuff
Well,
is
a lot of stuff that
outlandish.
Trump has done has hurt people that voted for
Oh
him.
yeah, it hurt
And
the
those same
Canadian
people,
PM.
those same people who voted for Congress too, right? So what's happening is these congressmen, they know that
The midterms coming up.
the midterms are coming up, and they know that this guy is fucking up our positions
Right.
here, which is okay with me.
Which is okay with me.
Yeah, fuck them, because they were the ones who fucking voted his cabinet in, which is out of this world. It's like Celebrity Apprentice over there. It's crazy.
But the
Linda
Democrats,
McMahon is a fucking
they have to do their part
Secretary of
and get
Education.
a candidate that's worthwhile.
there's nobody there's not very many people who are worthwhile.
There's not, dude. They're
There's
talking
not.
about the California dude, and I'm living in
Newsom?
California. I'm like,
Gavin
dude,
Newsom, yeah.
as soon as he starts talking, I'm
He's
just like,
uninspiring.
dude, you're trying to put your hand in
You
my
remember what I was
pockets.
saying about like California being a place for people to like make an image for himself? He's a great example.
Yeah.
Right? Like
He's
okay, I truly believe in political discourse with people of different perspectives. But
That thing that he's
the
on?
reason that he came out with the podcast and why he's saying that he's against trans athletes isn't because he had some value change of like this is
He's
not
trying to be
right.
president.
He's just trying to like cater to a wider audience that sees
Yeah.
him as like too liberal.
Yep.
Right? And he's trying to make an image
He's
for
trying
himself.
to get to blow.
As opposed to being like, hey, I'm Gavin Newsom, here's what I believe, and if you don't think this is right, don't vote for me.
Right.
People don't run like that.
Isn't that what Bernie did?
That's why he didn't. He
It
didn't
kind of
win
didn't work out for him.
I know.
twice.
Yep.
God bless
Kind
him.
of didn't.
God bless
Kind of didn't
him.
work out for him. But there's a guy that said everything he had on his mind, aside from Trump, who also says anything that comes to his mind, right? But the thing is that, I mean, Trump has some crazy ideas that I think that if he wakes
Some.
up tomorrow,
Change.
It's a change. It's a totally different thing. Whereas Bernie is talking about his convictions, which is
Bernie's
different.
been talking about the same shit for like
That-
40 years.
That's what I'm saying. So
They found a video of him. He was
I
doing
saw that.
the public access.
1980 or 1980 something.
First of all, he looked exactly the same 40 years ago. He's talking to this little kid.
With his mittens? No.
Dude. And he starts talking this. I mean, it was the same shit. They had him talk then, and they put a video on him of him now, and he's saying the exact same thing. And
Every
it's
family deserves access.
right.
Yeah.
They got money. They're trying to take over the same shit, and I'm like,
And people comment on social media, go back to Venezuela.
Like,
It's like, what? Exactly. The way you look at me. What?
people stupid, dude.
Stupid, I tell you.
People stupid.
If people are, I just saw a comment today, because I like to look at comments, and every fucking.
dude, sometimes they're funny.
Dude,
So-
and people
Yeah,
are
sometimes
like,
look at
people
the
are like,
comments.
I hope Trump doesn't go for a third term, so that Barron can go after him. I'm like, and somebody commented, you do know that Barron needs to be 35 to go for it.
Isn't he autistic? First of all,
Whatever.
You can still run.
Does
be
that stop?
autistic.
I don't think that matters at this point. After his dad, anything can happen.
Someone told me you don't get FDR without Hoover. So I'm like, does that mean that maybe we're setting the stage for somebody who's gonna like revamp? Because like FDR changed a lot about how the country runs.
I tell you,
know?
I can't imagine the person that comes next. There has to be a balance made. Or now that I'm saying that, Trump is like a balance for Obama. Obama did his. Trump came and was the total opposite. Obama, at least the message was, let's figure this out. Let's come together. Trump was like, no, fuck all y'all. Let's split them up. Get them the fuck out of here.
That's what happened.
So
and that was the first term.
I don't know if the balance is gonna come back, or I'm kind of excited to see. But it's like, dude, we're only 100 days in.
I love
to
it
4 years.
I love it how everybody thought, including myself, that all these clowns he got for in his government were gonna be gone one by one within a week.
Well, that's what happened the first time.
Right, because of that.
I think,
and now everybody's like, oh my God, I saw Pam Bondi talking about the fentanyl the other day, and she goes like, at a government meeting, and she goes, she's talking to Trump, but talking to Trump directly. She goes like, since you became president,
glazing,
and then she turns and she says, are you ready for this, media? 200 and something million people are saved. People's lives have been saved. And I'm like, what are you talking?
What math is that?
She looks at the camera like, the whatever she's in the office or something. She looks at the camera. She goes, "Are you ready for this, media?" I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
The thing is, I feel the exact same way. But the thing is, there's 150 million people that are like, what is it, Pam? What is it? What is it, madam? Whatever the fuck your title is. 200 and something million people were saved. Thank God for Trump. Yeah. There's a shitload of people that are like that. And it's like, they think he's a savior, just like I think he's not.
There's a shit ton of people that until 2 weeks ago thought, yeah, China should pay for those fucking tariffs,
Right.
Oh my God.
I think a lot of Americans are being educated on that.
Now.
But that's also why his popularity numbers are the lowest in 80 years, like 39% or something crazy.
What I was saying earlier is
prices went up too.
People just live in these different places where like what you accept as a fact is just different. Like if you have, I don't know, because I inhabit very different political places with family versus my work. Like my work is very left, and I'm hearing one narrative, and then I go to my extended family, and they're like all very right, and you're like, you're not receiving the same facts because when I tell you, when I tell you this, and my wife's family is like, not her dad, her parents divorced, but her mom's like old money, Orange County. It's like when you start trying to have a conversation a little bit, you're like, I'm telling you this fact, but you're not receiving it that way. Like you're receiving it like it's an opinion. So I don't know where to go from there.
Well, and Trump did. It's kind of evil genius with the whole fake news thing. If I can get people to believe that that whatever's in front of their lying eyes not to trust because of my influence, dude, that's a superpower.
That's a crazy superpower, dude.
To use it for evil is
the fact that people call him a successful businessman with all the
the bankruptcies, like 6 or 7,
and then they call it genius because he bankrupted himself so he can get away from shit.
Dude,
like, the fact that you have to get away from something means that you fucked up in the first place, and then you did it like 6 times or whatever, 7 times or 4 times. It's
like calling somebody a genius that robs a bank.
This is kind of becoming a little bit of a thievery,
Yeah.
Tell you what,
people are like, oh, he's going to be a good president because he's a good businessman. No, he wasn't a good businessman. He was popular, and he's going to turn. America's not supposed to be. Government isn't a business.
No, it's not.
The government is supposed to take care of people. Businesses are supposed to make money.
Yeah,
that's
those are
it.
Different.
So if you're trying to make money off of this shit, which is he's doing with the crypto, all this other horse shit, it's like,
crazy.
Dude,
he's
doing,
and Bibles.
But he's also running.
Buy your stocks.
Dude, right.
The only person in history who has sold sneakers and Bibles, and made money from both.
Dude,
I don't know who else has done that.
Dude.
I don't know.
But it's crazy because, like, in economics, they talk about public goods and how, like, the idea of a public good is that if there's not something to take care of it, people are going to run it down into the ground. No one's going to take care of it, right? Like, that's the point of government, is the public good of serving a broad and doing things that people wouldn't do of their own interest.
The whole
right?
oligarchy thing with Bernie, that's what
purpose.
he's like, these dudes are hooking themselves up.
Yeah.
We're not getting any kind of benefit. And that's how it has been. It's becoming worse.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited for.
What?
Putting WWE back in the schools. You can't see me!
Well, it's getting there because, Miss Linda is stronger.
I'll
tell you.
Bring back tradition.
Thank you for joining us, man.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
good time,
Been
yeah.
trying to get
It
you
was
on for a
fun.
while.
Very interesting conversations.
Yes.
Till next time.
Next time.
So subscribe.
So don't forget, subscribe, both of you, please.
We're gonna get a Patreon and a membership thing here. We're working
It'll
on.
be like 50 cents a month.
I'm just joking.
No, OnlyFans. Only 2 fans. We're gonna rename it. When we say peace, we're talking about the.